Greetings YouTube, Ronin Frog 7 here, bringing you another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Folklore. Yeah guys, it's been a while since I did one of these videos, one of these, Yu-Gi-Oh! Folklore videos. And I'm thinking, well, Halloween's just right around the corner. Actually today, as I'm filming this, today is the 29th, so Halloween's in a couple of days. And as you all know, Halloween is my favorite holiday, and the only Halloween specific themed archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are the Ghostricks, so I figure I'd bring you a little folklore about the Ghostricks. They're one of my favorite archetypes, plus Halloween's my favorite holiday, plus Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of my favorite hobbies, so it's like a win-win-win-win, right guys? Alright. Like I was saying, some of the Ghostricks, a little bit more, some of their little background stories and folklore are a little more obvious, and some are not as obvious. And so, first off, well, let's take a look at an obvious one. We have Ghostricks Spectre. As you all know, Ghostricks Spectre. Spectre is just another word. It's just a fancy way of saying ghost or something, something weird that you just see, and or that you don't see, hence ghost. So yeah, and this is funny. I like Ghostricks Spectre because as you take a look at the stitching around this. This is obviously like someone in a cloak, and that's funny because the stereotypical Halloween costume is usually a ghost. It's usually just a kid wearing a bed sheet. Fucking roosters. It's just a kid wearing a bed sheet. A bed sheet, and you're a ghost. Sorry guys. Just a quick aside here. I'm laughing because I remember in one of the very first South Park episodes. I'm a huge fan of South Park, and if you are too, you know what I'm talking about. The first ever Halloween episode they had was called Pink Eye, and in it, Hitler, he's dressed as Hitler. Excuse me, what the hell did I just say? Cartman, excuse me, wow, I just botched that real bad. Excuse me, Cartman is dressed as Hitler, and they send him to the principal's office, and they make him wear, and the principal makes him wear a bed sheet so he can go as a ghost. What's even more hilarious is that Cartman doesn't look like a ghost. He looks like a KKK member, and oh my god. It's just, South Park's a very mature audience, so if you're easily offended, do not watch that show. So, okay. Next up, we have one of our less obvious ones, and that's Ghostricks Jiangxi. Now, for us Westerners, for us, who grew up in the U.S., we're thinking, what the heck is this? He looks Asian, he looks like Kaiku in a lot of senses, Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer. And at first this wasn't so obvious, and so I had to research this one a bit. I was like, I know the Ghostricks are Halloween themed, but I never knew what the heck a Jiangxi was, and so I did my research. And my research, I went to Wikipedia, and it says here that Jiangxi, also known as a Chinese hopping vampire or zombie. So yeah, that's weird, a hopping vampire or zombie. And it says here is a type of reanimated corpse in Chinese legends and folklore, and they also appear like in Vietnamese legends, Korean legends, and also as Japanese legends. And that's fucking creepy, guys. Which is fucking cool. And it also says it is typically depicted as a stiff corpse dressed in official garments from the Qing dynasty, which is one of the ancient Chinese dynasties, and it moves around by hopping with its arms outstretched. It kills living creatures to absorb their life force, usually at night, while on the day it rests in its coffin or hides in dark places such as caves. Wow, that's fucking cool and creepy all at the same time. You have this hopping vampire zombie who just sleeps, and at night it'll just hop out at you and steal your life force. That's fucking cool and creepy at the same time. Alright, so that's Ghostricks Jiangxi. And the next one is Ghostricks Mary, and this is my favorite one because, growing up, especially here in the U.S., who hasn't ever, who ever heard of the legend of, a Ghostricks Mary is obviously based off of Bloody Mary, and we all know that legend. But for those of you who don't know, let me, it'll be my pleasure to recap here. Basically, the legend of Bloody Mary is, you got to go into a dark room, usually a bathroom, with a mirror, and in front of the mirror, you have to say Bloody Mary 3 times. And when you say Bloody Mary 3 times, usually this woman, this ghost woman pops out at you and just like slashes your face off or something. Like, I'm like, when I was a kid, I was like thinking, what the hell? Why would anyone want to do this? But it was just, for fun and for creeps. But that's fucking creepy though, Because, and as a kid, I remember in the house I grew up in, there was like, in the bathroom, there was like this big mirror on the wall. And I would like, be scared shitless after hearing the Bloody Mary story for about a month. I would be scared shitless just to go and piss in there because I'll be like, hell no, I don't want no fucking ghost people slashing my eyes off while I take a piss. So yeah, that's what's cool about this story. That's what I like. This is one of my favorite ones. All right, next one is Ghostrick Lantern. It's obvious, you know what this is. This is a jack-o'-lantern. But for those of you guys who don't know, some pretty cool facts is that, you know, Halloween is usually like comes from, I believe, an ancient Celtic pagan religion, which you know, and I think the Celtics, they derived from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, and from like northern England and around those places, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, and I believe over in Ireland they don't have pumpkins, and if they do, or you know, they usually had turnips, which I'm trying to say here. So they have pumpkins being jack-o'-lanterns. The original jack-o'-lanterns were turnips, and that's pretty that's kind of weird. And then usually, and then you know, when they brought, you know, the Europeans brought the traditions over here. You know, Halloween, you know, like was one of them, or like an early form of Halloween, I should say, was one of them. And instead of using turnips, you know, pumpkins were more bountiful here in the U.S. And so they used pumpkins instead. You know, thankfully for us, which is cool because you know who the hell wants to carve a turnip? And you know what the cool thing about jack-o'-lantern is? The legend behind the jack-o'-lantern is like there was this dude who was just so evil and so tricky and so conniving that he couldn't get into heaven, but the devil wouldn't let him into hell either. You know, that's how ruthless this guy was. And then the guy was like, what the hell, man? What the hell am I supposed to do? And so he gets a turnip, and the devil's like, here's this piece of coal. Use this to light your way, because you know you can't get into heaven, you can't get into hell, so you're just gonna wander around aimlessly. But I'm gonna be a good guy, and you know, I'm gonna be generous and give you a piece of flaming coal, to light your way. And so Jack, that's what the name of the guy is, gets the charcoal and puts it in the turnip, and that's how he lights his way. And so that's kind of weird. I mean, that's a kind of cool, that's a weird, cool story, I should say. So yeah, that's the story behind this one. And the next one is Ghostrick Jack Frost. Now, this is a little weird. I mean, what the hell does Jack Frost have to do with Halloween? You know, Jack Frost is like a Christmas legend and things like that. He's a Christmas story. Well, the thing is, I believe, you know, there was a movie that came out in the 90s, that either 90s or late 90s or early 2000s, that it was like based off a killer Jack Frost. You know, they turned the legend of a Jack Frost into a freaking killer, a serial killer. And so I guess this is what that's based off of. It's kind of weird, but cool at the same time. You know how Christmas, you know, for most of us who celebrate it, you know, Christmas is like this comforting time, and to take it and to make this into like a horrible legend is, you know, really creepy and unnerving. And then next we have is Ghostrick Dullahan. Now this is another now this one is freaking cool, because this was Dullahan is another legend that's based off of, you know, ancient Irish, you know, Celtic, you know, paganism, you know, pagan religion and things like that. And it says here, a Dullahan is like a headless horseman. It's a headless rider and with a horse. And so that's where I'm thinking, you know, everyone knows, like, growing up here in the U.S., you read about, you know, the headless horseman, and I believe that's where it comes from. I believe this is where, this is what the legend of the, you know, Sleepy Hollow, this is where it comes from. That's fucking cool. And Ghostrick Dullahan just looks awesome. He's an awesome card, and just looks awesome all the way. And so I think that's freaking cool. You know, the legend of the headless horseman comes from this, and that's freaking awesome. Alright guys, and then next up we have Ghostrick So Cute Boss, which we all know had to have its name changed from Ghostrick Succubus, because this is a succubus, and if you guys don't know what a succubus is, it's, you know, in the Middle Ages, men believed, you know, if you ever had night terrors, guys, they're fucking creepy. I'll get to a second. I'll describe night terrors in a second, but night terrors are basically, you know, where a form of sleep paralysis, where, you know, you can't get up, anything like that. You know, when you wake up but your body doesn't, like your body's all stiff and you feel paralyzed. And you know, back in the Middle Ages, they didn't really have that much science to explain anything. And so one way to explain that phenomenon was with succubus, is that, you know, oh, that's because, you know, you can't get up because there's a ghost demon lady just having her way with you. You know, she's having sex with you. And so that's what she represents. So it's pretty morbid. Okay, guys. And our last. Oh yeah. Also, I wanted to say a few things about you know, my experiences with sleep paralysis or night terrors, I should say. Is you know, you usually get them when you don't when you eat like something funky at night. You know, when your body's not used to you eating something. You know, you eat something like fast food or something greasy at night or late at night or things like that. But that's usually the most common one, I believe. And I remember I did that for a while. And Oh my god, it was just fucking creepy. I remember like the first time it ever happened to me, it was like a few years back, a few years ago. What happened was, I'm there in my bed, I'm sleeping. All of a sudden, like, it was like around 2 in the morning. I believe, I know it's 2 in the morning because later after it happened, I looked at my phone to see what time it was. But, it's like 2 in the morning. I wake up all of a sudden, my eyes, I'm blinking, but the rest of me isn't. I'm like, the rest of me is not moving. I'm like, I feel pinned down. Like, I try to move my head, I can't. I'm just staring at my ceiling. And I'm like, but it's really freaking dark. And I'm like thinking, what the hell is going on? My arms, my hands are like on my chest, in a cross. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like thinking, okay, I can get out of this. I'm like trying to force my arms, to open, but they won't open. It feels like I have like a cement block on top of me that's tied down to me, just holding me down, and I can't get up. And I'm like thinking, okay, this is freaking creepy. And what the freaking creepiest thing was, and then I just went back to sleep and nothing happened. But the second time I had these guys was one of the most creepiest, frightening things that ever happened to me. What happened was, same thing happens. The next night. I wake up, I can't get up, I can't move. It feels like I'm paralyzed. The adrenaline is pumping, but I can't move. And I had like that white fear inside of me. I'm like scared shitless, and then the creepiest thing happens is that all this, besides all this other creepy stuff happening, is that I hear laughing. I hear like ha 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 ha. Well, not like that, but freaking creepier. It sounds like a demon is freaking laughing, and I am scared shitless at this point. I can't believe I didn't piss or shit myself at this point. And I'm all like, oh my god. I'm like, help me, Jesus. And then, oh my god. And then, oh my god. And I just black out. And then I wake up and I remember this. I'm like, oh shit. And I do some research. What happened was, it's these night terrors. I explain to you what they are. And, and during a night terror, you can also hallucinate. And guys, hallucinating goes beyond just hallucinating things that you see that aren't there. But, it's also, all your senses are connected. And when you hallucinate, you just don't hallucinate seeing things. You can also hallucinate smelling things. You can also hallucinate tasting things. And you can hallucinate hearing things, which was happen to me. And oh my god, that was so fucking creepy. Well, alright. And then we have our last card here that I want to talk about is Ghostricks Alley card. It is obvious what this is. This is basically Dracula, and if you didn't know, of course, obvious that Alucard is just Dracula spelled backwards. It's obvious that this is a vampire or Dracula or whatever. It's a female, so I don't know if this is Dracula exactly. But maybe that's why it's spelled backwards. But that's fucking cool. Alucard is also a name, of a character in the Konami's Castlevania series. But I like the name Alucard from Hellsing. Hellsing, the anime, is one of my favorite animes of all time. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend that you do. Check out the Hellsing Ultimate. Excuse me, I had a burp there. Check out the Hellsing Ultimate series. Don't check out the first Hellsing series. That was crap. But the Ultimate series is awesome, and doesn't matter if you check it out dubbed or sub. They're both excellent. Hellsing, the Ultimate series, is one of the very few dubbed animes that's excellent. So go ahead and check it out. Well, alright, guys. What else did I want to talk about? That's about it. Oh no, yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the creepy urban legends growing up. Obviously I'm Mexican American, and so I came up from a very superstitious and Catholic upbringing, and you just hear a bunch of stories, especially when I went back to Mexico to visit my friends and family over there. They try to scare you. There's just so many creepy stories and urban legends. I like a lot, especially from Ireland. I believe has a lot of good ones. Japan is another country that has a lot of good creepy urban legends and ghost stories. Check those out. They're really freaking creepy, especially the Japanese ones, and a lot of the Mexican ones too. And one of my favorites, and I believe every Mexican American kid whose parents are from Mexico or have a grandparent who is from Mexico knows who La Llorona is. The crying woman. And to get a visual picture, if you've ever played Left 4 Dead, the witch, it's kind of like that. Yeah, I remember playing Left 4 Dead for the first time, and you encounter for all the gamers out there who play Left 4 Dead, remember the experience when you're playing for the first time, and you kill all the zombies. You encounter the hunter, you encounter the smoker, you encounter the boomer, and then there's the witch. At first, she's sitting on the ground crying, and you're thinking, what the hell is that? and then you just get close to her and you nudge her, and then BAM! She just fucking gets in your fucking face and starts slashing you. And I was like, to me, that's one of the scariest moments in gaming. And so, yeah, that's like basically La Llorona, how she looks. And so, for those of you who don't know her story, it's very popular. You know, it's this woman who has many, you know, there's different variations of the story, but most of the more common elements are, you know, it's this woman who, you know, she has a lot of kids. She doesn't know what to do with them. They're like crying. They're getting on her nerves. They're driving her crazy, driving her insane. And one day she just goes crazy and she drowns all of her children. And then she's all like, after drowning her children, she's all like, "Oh my God, what have I done? You know, oh my God, you know, I'm crazy. Please forgive me." And then I believe in some stories, either some mystical force, or you see the God that punishes her. She's like, "Look what you've done. You know, you've killed your children, and as punishment, you're gonna wander around forever, and your body, you know, you're gonna wander around forever looking for your children." And then so what happens is that, you know, for in order, you know, a bedtime story, in order for, you know, parents to, you know, have their children behave, they'll tell them this story, and like, if you don't behave, she's gonna come after you, she's gonna take you. And like, goddamn, imagine, you know, being told that story at bedtime. Like I was when I misbehaved one time when I was a kid. I forgot what I fucking did, but I probably deserved it. And, you know, she's, you know, it's the urban legend, you know, this ancient folklore is like, basically, you know, she's around bodies of water, she's around lakes and rivers, and so that even makes it more creepier if you're like camping out next to like a lake or a river or something like that, and you tell this story to a little kid, you scare them shitless. Alright guys, that's it. Wow, this one went long. Oh, sorry, I'm already gonna hit 17 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys, you know, made it through this whole thing. It's just like, this is, like I said, this is my favorite holiday, and I love urban legends and like all these ghost stories. Even if, you know, even if I'm already older and you don't really believe in them, it's still, you know, fun from time to time to, you know, get creeped out and get scared. I love being scared and stuff like that. You know, I love this holiday, and it just sucks this year I don't have anything planned because my schedule is just so fucking busy, and I barely had time to make this video, but I'm glad I did. And so, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to like and comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you're subscribed already, thanks a lot. It really means a lot to me. As always, I am Ronin Frog 87, bidding you farewell and hoping you enjoy the rest of your day.